Joining us now from Senate Finance, he is Senator John Thune. Senator, it's a pleasure having you on. You are the Senate Republican whip. Senators, critics say this FTX story shows what a phony thing, fake thing, woke capitalism is. Companies using investor money to go woke for political purposes. FTX, Dan Bishop is saying it had higher ESG scores than ExxonMobil and still was a fraud. Even Sam Bankman-Fried made fun of ESG as, quote, dumb and all talk. What do you think of all this?
Well, I tell you what, to me, what this and other things that we're learning more about, Liz suggests, is just what a danger this ESG agenda is. You have all these big investment firms in this country, and you've got an administration, a government basically, that is using government power through financial and securities regulators to pressure investors not to invest in certain sectors of our economy, namely oil and gas. But the thing that we worry about in the future is they're going to start coming after agriculture, farms and ranches. Ranchers, livestock producers, who raise livestock, they emit methane, so it doesn't fit within the ESG parameters of what is a, approved investment for these liberal, woke companies that are participating in this agenda. So I think this is a really dangerous thing. I think it's something that we've got to shine more of a light on, expose, and help the American people understand what's really at risk here. Yeah,
Sam Bankman-Fried was a proponent, and so was his parents, about effective altruism. We got to ask you this: what's with the timing of the administration arresting Bankman-Fried a day before his hearing in Congress? Shouldn't they get him under oath and use the statements under oath for the case against him? I mean, this fraud has been out there for a month. Is it because he has a flight risk, or was he about to embarrass D.C.?
Well, I don't know the answer on it with respect to the timing or on all that. Hopefully we'll find out more about that. But, what I do know is, yes, we need to get answers in this, and it would have been nice to have him under oath. We've had him testify in the past in front of various committees up here, but certainly since this has all happened, he's got a lot of light that I think he could shine on what actually happened here, what the facts were, as we learn more about it. So hopefully, irrespective of what happened today, eventually that opportunity will avail itself, although it gets harder once he's under the system of justice.
Are you hearing politicians in D.C. breathing a sigh of relief that he did not testify?
I've not had people say that directly, Liz. I just think that, again, and you can question the timing, and I think it's fair to do that. And it may be that he was a flight risk. That's what they've suggested. Okay. But the Department of Justice, the steps that they took today were certainly interesting in terms of the timing.
Well, the DOJ says he gave illegal campaign donations using, quote, stolen investor money, and that by the way, the FTX bankruptcy could claw that back, $73 million. $40 million went to Democrats. He bought influence. He packed his board with D.C. insiders, former CFTC commissioners, to lobby and weaken government oversight and, weaken controls. Right at the same time, he had zero accounting and zero controls over investor money inside FTX. No record keeping whatsoever. So how did this guy get to have such power in Washington, D.C. when he was, playing with investor money like it was a video game?
Yeah, well, it is remarkable that he was able to get as far as he did, absent any of the controls that you just mentioned. I mean, he has a company where he was using proprietary funds, investor funds, mixing them with his own, and financing all these crazy activities, some of which were political in nature. But obviously, the things that he was doing, I think this is a lesson for everybody in this ESG, to try and satisfy a government in Washington, D.C., liberal policymakers, that he was doing the right things with respect to the green agenda and climate. That's what this ESG agenda is all about. And it's a really dangerous agenda, I think, for the country, because it attacks core industries that are so important to our livelihood in this country, be they energy, be they food production, and that's clearly where, obviously, he invested a lot of resources trying to satisfy people here in Washington, D.C.
Senator, let's take a listen to what happened in Congress today. Watch this.
Sam Bankman-Fried, or should I say inmate 14372, had one purpose in all of his efforts here in Congress. Was well-known figure, only one wearing shorts. His one purpose was to keep the SEC out of crypto.
The FTX group is unusual in the sense that, I've done probably a dozen large, scale bankruptcies over my career, including Enron, of course. every one of those entities had some financial problem or another. They have some characteristics that are in common. This one is unusual, and it's unusual in the sense that literally, there's no record keeping whatsoever.
I think everybody loved the exciting idea of a politically progressive, smart entrepreneur who is going to reimagine capitalism. I'm glad to see it's finally unraveled.
What you have is a crypto casino.
Crypto casino. I mean, he gave out $4 billion in loans to cronies, including $1 billion for himself. FTX spent a reported $256 million on almost 3 dozen luxury properties in the Bahamas. And now, they're probing whether his parents were in on it. They were Stanford University professors. Reportedly, his father was getting paid by FTX. He was going in and out of the Bahamas. And the son bought the parents a $16 million luxury home in the Bahamas. To your point, the parents were very much involved in effective altruism, too. But what this is stealing investor money to make yourselves look like you're the good guys.
Right, and again, he needs to be held accountable for that. And again, I think this sort of woke capitalism that has all of a sudden just permeated this country, and especially when financial services regulators, securities regulators use their powers to punish people, to penalize people, investors, companies who invest in certain sectors or certain industries because those are the ones that satisfy that woke agenda. That's just a really dangerous thing. When you have a free market economy where a government is stepping on the scales and essentially influencing a lot of those market decisions, you're going to end up with some really bad outcomes, and this is certainly an example of that.
Well, this is stealing investor money for those political purposes, right? This is a flat-out case of how bad woke capitalism is. But this is also not telling investors how maybe their 401k money, their retirement money is being used for maybe returns that they won't get, that they should be getting. That's the story, right? Senator, final word.
Yeah, it is. It's about investors ultimately and protecting investors. He didn't do it. Clearly, he was, and I again have no idea how he got away with this for as long as he did, except there's no regulation in that market right now. But even more regulated investors and companies who control enormous amounts through index funds of people's investment in this country are making a lot of these decisions predicated upon that woke agenda, and that's flat wrong for the country.
This is stealing, and for FTX, what they did. Senator John Thune, thank you so much. Come back soon. It's a pleasure having you on, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Same to you. Thanks, Liz.